Hello all, welcome to this second video lecture on Engineering Materials and Joining Processes Module 4 of Elements of Mechanical Engineering, presented by myself Ranjit PK, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Global Academy of Technology. The syllabus constitutes of 4 parts. The first part dealing with the properties, composition, industrial applications of engineering materials. The second part being the various joining processes. The third and fourth part being the belt drives and the gear drives, these basically being the driving mechanisms. In this second video lecture, we are going to focus on non-ferrous metals, polymers, semiconductors and insulators. In the first video lecture, we have already dealt with the ferrous metals. Let's begin. We recall the classification of materials. It is divided into two parts, metals and non-metals, with metals being further subclassified as ferrous metals and non-ferrous metals, which we are dealing with today. From the examination point of view, you can write the composition or the constituents, properties which are available. For example, it could be mechanical, electrical and thermal, and a few sample applications. So what are non-ferrous metals? Non-ferrous metals are basically metals that do not have any iron content in them, and hence they are not attracted to a magnet and also do not rust when exposed to the moisture. Few examples of non-ferrous metals include aluminium, copper, zinc, tin, etc. etc. Copper is one of the most non-ferrous metal ever discovered. It is malleable, resistant to corrosion and is a good conductor of heat and electricity. However, the pure copper is very ductile and relatively weak. This property can be improved by adding certain alloying elements. The various important alloys of copper to our interest are brass and bronze. Brass is basically an alloy of copper and zinc, with zinc varying between 5 to 45%. There are other elements in small amounts such as lead, tin, silicon and which are added to modify the properties. The physical appearance is shown in these representational images. The properties of brass include good strength, good ductility, good machinability and formability. It has very good electrical and thermal conductivities, and it is resistant to wear, it is resistant to corrosion, and it also has good spark resistance, do not spark, and can be typically used in any hazardous environments. And this being a non-ferrous metal, it is also non-magnetic. The applications of brass include nuts, bolts, threaded parts and tabs. It is also used as condensers and heat exchanger tubes, pump bodies and fittings. Few applications are shown here. Next non-ferrous metal is bronze. It is an alloy of copper and tin, with copper being about 88% and tin varying not more than 11%. It also includes other alloying elements like phosphorus, lead, etc. in small proportions to obtain a few favorable properties. Other than tin, elements like aluminium, silicon and beryllium may also be added as an alloying element with this copper to form different types of bronzes. The properties of bronze include being very soft and resistant to corrosion. These can be rolled into wires, rods and sheets due to good ductility and malleability. They possess better hardness and fatigue properties. It also conducts heat and electricity better than most steels. Few applications include use of bronze as springs, bellows, electrical contacts, bushes, clutch discs, marine pumps, condenser tubes, etc. Next non-ferrous metal is an aluminium. It is basically a silverish white non-ferrous metal and is extracted from bauxite. It is relatively a light metal, very easily machinable and has a wide range of surface finish. It is highly reflective to heat and light, and it is also a good conductor of heat and electricity. This aluminium can be cast, rolled, stamped, drawn, hammered, and extruded and forged to any possible shape, and it shows strong resistance to corrosion. The applications of aluminium include this being lightweight. It is used for construction of aircraft parts, automotive vehicles, spacecrafts, ships, etc. The electrical applications include usage of aluminium as overhead cables, electrical wires, windings in motors, generators, etc. And in terms of household applications, it is used as mirrors, reflectors, fireproof jackets, roofing sheets, and windows, aluminium windows. The next material is an insulator. It is a material which is a poor conductor of heat and electricity. Few examples being wood, plastic, ceramic materials like glass, porcelain, rubber, etc. Insulators basically possess high resistivity. The charges do not flow freely as in the case of conductors and semiconductors. Thus, we can say that insulators work as protectors. They are used in equipment to support and separate electrical conductors without allowing the current to flow through themselves. An example of an insulator shown here. Apart from preventing the passage of heat and electricity, the insulator also prevents the passage of sound from one location to the another. Examples of this kind of application include fiberglass, plastic foam, mineral wool, etc. Semiconductors, these are materials having electrical conductivity between that of conductors and insulators. They are basically pure elements such as silicon and germanium, and it could be also in the form of compounds such as gallium arsenide or cadmium selenide. The conducting properties of a semiconductor can be altered by a method called doping into the crystal structure of the semiconductor. The doping greatly increases the number of charge carriers. As semiconductors contain no impurities, they conduct almost no electricity. By the way of doping, this material and hence the electrical properties are varied, and by the application of electrical fields or light after the semiconductor is doped, these devices can be used as needed in amplification, switching, and energy conversion. Almost all of electrical technology today involves use of semiconductors in the form of integrated circuits. These integrated circuits are found in all electronic gadgets such as laptops, scanners, cell phones, etc. And the semiconductors also form an important application in the form of a solar photovoltaic panel. The next material is basically a polymer. Polymer, also known as plastic. It is a giant molecule of higher molecular weight obtained by the repeated union of simple molecules. So, a set of simple molecules formed into a giant molecule forms a polymer. The repeating simple molecules are called monomers. So, as I said, these monomers, many monomers constitute a giant molecule and hence a polymer. The process of obtaining a polymer from these monomers is called polymerization. The various types of polymers include thermoplastic polymers and thermosetting polymers. Thermoplastic polymers are the polymers where the intermolecular force of attraction is between that of an elastomer and a fiber. These are basically linear or slightly branched chain polymers. They are hard at room temperature and become soft on heating, and they again become hard on cooling. A very good example of a thermoplastic polymer is a PVC. You could have seen the plumber while installing a set of PVC pipes for the plumbing application at homes, heating this pipe, fitting as required, and then allowing it to cool, thus the pipe becoming hard. Thermosetting polymers are polymers which are cross-linked or heavily branched. which on heating undergo cross-linking. These kind of polymers, they become hardened during the molding process, and after solidifying they cannot be softened again like the previous polymer, that is the thermoplastic polymer. Few examples of thermosetting polymers are shown here. If we try to write the differences between the thermosets and the thermoplastics, these exhibit cross-linked, whereas here it is linear. In a thermoset plastic, the atoms are held strongly by the covalent bonds, whereas here it is weak. And in thermosets, they become hard when heated and do not soften upon subsequent heating, and they cannot be reprocessed. Whereas these thermoplastics, they soften on heating and they harden back when it is cooled, and these can be processed any number of times as required. Thermoset plastics are basically suitable at low temperatures and high temperatures as well, whereas the thermoplastics are suitable only at low temperatures. The thermosets are harder, stronger and brittle, whereas the thermoplastics being soft and very flexible. The thermosets show good resistance to fluid, whereas it is poor in case of a thermoplastic. And it possesses better electrical resistance and dimensional stability, whereas in a thermoplastic these are comparatively low. Thermoset plastic has a definite shelf life or the storage life, whereas a thermoplastic has an indefinite shelf life, and hence we find these kind of thermoplastics being used in all the plumbing applications which I was already talking about. These cannot be recycled, that is the thermosets, whereas the thermoplastics can be recycled and hence are economical. If we look at the applications, the thermoset plastics basically used as telephone receivers, electric plugs, radios and cabinets, camera bodies, aircraft parts, circuit breakers, etc. Whereas the thermoplastics, we use it as toys, spoons, toilet goods, photographic films, insulating tapes, hoses, electrical insulation, etc. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. In the next video lecture, we are going to see on ceramics, composites and smart materials. Thank you very much for